Let's join or bring in our next guest, Richard Kalm. He's the executive director for the Michigan Gaming Control Board. Let's keep the conversation going. And I will tell you what, a lot of people were very happy this last Friday. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
So, as we all know, the state of Michigan is now allowing for online sports betting here in the state of Michigan. What exactly does that mean?
Not only online sports betting, but online casino games. We launched both simultaneously for most of the operators. And what that means is you're now able to bet on sports legally online on a mobile device or on a home computer. And also you can play casino style games on a mobile device or on a home computer.
So for years here in the state of Michigan, we've been kind of told this is bad, it's illegal. And you think back to the day where they were running numbers, right? Why the shift?
Well, the shift's been going on for 25 years or so. As gambling and casinos moved out of Nevada and went across the state, as you know, Michigan back in 1997, there was a referendum to allow gambling or casinos in the city of Detroit. And much of that was due to revenue to be generated by the city of Detroit. So there was a constitutional amendment. The voters passed it that allowed for 3 casinos in an area that had a certain amount of population. And so that kind of swept across the whole United States. Nevada, New Jersey, most states, very many states have retail sites for casinos. So I think that softened people's tolerance of that. And we have lottery and lotto is in multiple states. So there's a certain amount of gambling that the public tolerates. And as long as it can be done safely and in a regulated manner, without the influx of organized crime or money laundering or things of that nature, I think states embraced it as a way to garner revenue. And this is just taking it to the next level. We're not the only state that gambles online. There's multiple states that are doing it now. And I think that it's maturing to a point where the casinos have realized that they have to move with the times in order to market to a whole different group of people. And that the younger generation of people may not visit a casino, but are very adept at using mobile devices. And so it's sort of, they've been talking about it for 6 or 8 or 10 years, and we're seeing it come to fruition in multiple states now. So it's sort of a progression.
What is going to be the bottom line for this with the revenue for the state of Michigan?
We don't know that yet. We can only look at other states like New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and that revenue is pretty substantial. I think that the tax rate on sports betting is 8.4%, so it's not cumbersome for the operators to have that tax rate. So it's going to bring a lot of business as far as sports betting to the state. And conversely, all the platforms do both, right? They do sports betting, and they also have a suite of games available for people who understand casino games and slots and things like that available. And that's where I think the revenue is going to be driven through, are those casino style games. That's where you're going to see most of the revenue.
So I remember back when the casinos were being built, and then they reopened, and they were really thought to be kind of the salvation because, and then the lotto as well with the revenue that went to the school system as well. But we discovered that's not the case. Is this another way of trying to get revenue in the state of Michigan's coffers?
Oh, absolutely. The casinos, the 3 Detroit casinos do about, when we're not shut down and there wasn't COVID, the last full year we had about 1.4 billion in revenue. And then the tribal casinos do just a little bit more than that with all the tribal casinos. So, it's almost a $3 billion industry for the retail side. Now, when you enter in the online side, I think you're going to see some substantial gains in revenue. And really, that's what this is about, is to offer a product to people legally through the casinos we already have licensed, right? We have 12 recognized tribes and 3 commercial casinos, and to regulate it so that it allows these casinos to market in a different way. It allows the citizens to have more opportunity to gamble. It allows the state to get tax revenue from that activity.
So you keep saying legal. There is a black market for this. Do you anticipate that it's going to continue? Because even though you regulate something and you make it legal, it doesn't mean the underground of the industry goes away, right?
Oh no, I don't. I think there'll always be somewhat of a black market. We do have, we do conduct investigations and then triage those investigations to local police. We have, on-site strip mall casinos that are still operating. And there's, a great many websites that'll take bets offshore or play casino games offshore. You've all seen them on your phone. They advertise on Facebook, and that's illegal. I think what's going to happen is over time, the citizens, this state anyways, want to have a legal way of doing that. They want to use their credit card to open an account, not Bitcoin, not all these other alternative things. And so to do that, you've got to have a legitimate gaming operator, somebody that we regulate. In other words, we look in, if there's a patron complaint, we investigate it. If people think they've been ripped off, we also ensure there's a certain payback on random number generators. I don't want to get too technical, but there has to be a certain payback on casino games. We approve those games. The whole goal here is to make sure we protect the interests of the people of the state of Michigan. As a side note, we do collect taxes for that, and that's great for the state. But really our focus and why we exist is for that purpose, to make sure people don't get ripped off, and that that this gaming is going to occur legally, that we make sure it's done the right way.
We're also in the middle of a pandemic and people are staying home. The casinos, as you mentioned, they've been shut down, but then they've also been under limited capacity. Do you think that by, starting this in the middle of a pandemic when so many people are at home, it's going to help foster some of the games that people play because they don't feel comfortable maybe going to the casino?
Well, yeah, the casinos are operating at right around 15 or 20% capacity. So they've been hobbled in their ability to bring in new people and gaming. You can't get amenities there, anything right now because of COVID. So I do think that the addition of online gaming will help normal patrons who normally would go to the casino will have the ability to do that. But I think the part that's most interesting here is not so much allowing people to gamble from home that normally would go to a casino. It's capturing a whole new demographic and market that the casinos really didn't have direct access to. People in the age group of 25 to 35 may not, they might go to a sporting event, they might go downtown, visit a casino when they go to a sporting event, but nobody does that not nobody, but as a great percentage won't go to downtown just to gamble. However, they're on their phones, they're playing fantasy sports, especially in the sports side already. And they're very adept at using their devices in all manner of ways. And this is just another way that they're going to be able to legally play Angry Birds for money, for lack of a better word.
So there is a backside of this, though, right? People do develop gambling addictions. What's being done to address that issue as we open up more gambling?
Right. Well, people are going to do what people do, and we have multiple ways to address that. We can't force people not to partake, whether they go to the casino and gamble, or whether they use their device online. But we have tools in place. All the operators and the platform providers were required by us to put certain safeguards in. There'll be a clock running right in front of your face when you are gambling on casino games or sports betting. There'll be you can set thresholds to how much money you put in your account, how much money you gamble per day. There's reminders that pop up. You've been on X amount of time. You've wagered this amount of money. So that's on the front end of it, on the GUI interface of it, to remind people what they're doing. Because, as you know, there's stories of people going to the casino and staying 24 hours and just gambling, like crazy. These things are in place right in front of you, right in your face. On top of that, a certain percentage of the taxes goes for problem gambling efforts. So advertising, when the public opens the app, they'll see a hotline number. And if you have a gambling problem, call this number. And then people can actually sign themselves off. They can just say, I'm not going to gamble for a year. And they can notify the app or the provider, and they will remove them from that for a period of time. On the retail side, we have the disassociated persons list, we call it, where people actually ban themselves from the casino. And previously it was for life. Now it's for a term up to 5 years, where they've said, please don't let me in the casino, arrest me for trespassing if I go in. These are obviously extreme cases. And we honor that. So there'll also be lists for each of the platforms that people want to put themselves on and ban themselves.
And with that, and obviously, if an individual really wants to gamble, they'll find a way around some of these safety measures that you put in place. But with that too, can we talk a little bit more about What does this mean for some of what you just mentioned, the strip club casinos? Some of the small businesses that had the poker machines and some of these other types of devices in the strip malls or in the back of their businesses. What does this mean for them?
Well, those are all operating illegally, and we've seized a great many of them and charged individuals for operating illegally. And people say, what's the difference? You can buy lottery, you can gamble online. Well, those are unregulated machines. There's people are getting ripped off. They don't really realize it. And there's an organized crime factor in a lot of those that own those machines and then put them into bars, restaurants, and they split 50-50. We're aware of all that. I think this is going to hurt it because if you can sit at Buffalo Wild Wings with your phone when the restaurants open up and place a bet or play a casino game right from your phone, why would you go to a strip mall casino? Why would you even get involved in that when it's right there and conveniently in place for you? You can go anywhere with it.
So, how does that actually work? So, if a business wants to have one or two or three of these machines, can they do so now and maybe apply for a license? What's that look like?
No, nobody would be licensed to conduct any of this gaming unless they're one of the federally recognized tribes as an operator, 12 of them, or one of the three already licensed casinos. So you won't have devices showing up at bars and restaurants. The device will be carried in by the patron in his hand.
So it really is an interesting time. Can you tell us kind of what it's been like for you and some of the other people that work at the Gaming Control Board to try to get this initiative up and running, but also in the middle of a pandemic? Has it actually helped you in a way?
Yeah, in a way, I hate to say it, but in a way, it did sort of help us focus our efforts. We didn't hire any additional personnel. We just couldn't. We had a hiring freeze on the state, so we had to adjust. People had to adjust within the agency. And then, anytime we license somebody, we have to conduct a background investigation. In the past, we would travel to wherever that company was at. We would look at their records, their tax records, the CEO, so on and so forth. So that's where it became cumbersome for us with our inability to travel. So we had a lot of Zoom meetings, our investigators Zoom meetings, calls in the middle of the night because there's a time difference between overseas and here. So that was a little bit cumbersome. What happened here, and what the sort of the silver lining of this is that there was a real spirit of cooperation. When in March we started retail sports betting in the three commercial casinos, and in 3 days it exploded. Everybody wanted it. It was great. And unfortunately, 3 days later, that we had to shut down all restaurants and government offices and everything shut down. So we knew there was a pent up demand. We shifted our focus right away to what had to be done were rule promulgation. So the law passed in December of 2019. We focused on retail sports betting, got them up in March, and then it became all about getting the rules done because according to our statute, we couldn't license the platforms, the app people that have the apps until the rules were completed. So we started licensing all that we could, doing the investigation, make sure they were suitable. And then simultaneously, we started negotiations and collaboration with the 12 tribes and with the three commercial casinos on rule sets. And we borrowed heavily from New Jersey and Indiana and Pennsylvania, who already had online gaming going, who already had many of these operators of platform providers that operate in that environment. So that helped expedite it. But I think the biggest thing is we were really surprised how when we did come up with our rule set, sent it out to the tribes and to the commercial casinos, how very little changes they asked for. And it really hit the bar and they all went, you know what, we got to get this done. There's going to be no arguing on small stuff. Let's go. And so it was full speed. And that's really what assisted us in getting this done quicker. Because we have, according in state government, you got to have public hearings when you do rules. It's got to go to the legislature. It's got to be approved at a whole bunch of different levels. And the biggest issue we thought we were going to have was trying to get these rules passed, the tribes and the commercial casinos and their attorneys, and that really went well. So all in all, the pandemic actually assisted us in getting that rule set done by December 2nd through the legislature. And then we started, as you see, we went live January 22nd. So 6 weeks later, we already went live. So a lot of work was done ahead of time, but the rules had to be done. It's kind of like, got to have the rules. And so that was expedited, I think.
So, yeah, that's the upswing of the pandemic, right? Rick Kalm with us here on the MegaCast. He's the executive director for the Michigan Gaming Control Board. And with that, Rick, if I'm a regular person and I'm going online, how can I know that one of the betting sites is actually one that's regulated through the state of Michigan or one of these offshore accounts that you were talking about earlier?
Well, it'll be pretty obvious because we have 15 operators. So you can go to the MGM Greektown casino site. Their app is listed there. You can go to any of the travel casinos that are up and operating now, and the app right there at the casino website is the connection to the app. If all the websites will say when you log on that this is a regulated site, Michigan Gaming Control Board, and it'll have all that. So you'll know you won't be able to do it elsewhere. So unless you go to an offshore site that's clearly defined, people will see.
And do you anticipate this is also going to help the state of Michigan's bottom line because people maybe won't be traveling as much to Vegas and some of these other places to bet because, of course, it is a big football time right now with the Super Bowl coming up. And I know that previously, a lot of times people would go with a group of friends, go to Vegas, and they would be betting. But now they can do it right here in the state of Michigan.
They can do it in their living room with a bunch of people watching the Super Bowl, with their mobile device. So yeah, Detroit casinos were never really a travel destination for gambling like Vegas was. Vegas really leans heavily on the amenities and hotels and shows and things like that. That never really was the case so much in Detroit. We had a 75-mile market around those three commercial casinos, really where they pulled their people from. So this is opening up a whole new avenue. And you're right, we don't know what the revenue is going to be. We raced to try and get this up a week before, the playoffs. Playoffs were going on for football and March Madness, and so I guess we have to see. But it'll be much more convenient for people to conduct the activity, and they're going to be able to do it from the comfort of their home, hopefully safely and securely.
So I will say one thing, Rick, as someone that's a journalist, I know that, again, as I mentioned before, everyone thought the casinos would kind of be the salvation for our education system. That has not been. How can individuals or people track the revenues from this new online world and where that money is going?
You can just go to our website. We report revenues. Each of the platform providers will have to report revenues 10 days into the trailing month, the next month. I don't have those numbers for you now. We're so new to this thing, but all of our revenue and all the taxes that we assess on the commercial casinos are all posted on our website. Last year was a terrible year for that, but the year before, last full year we were operating about 165 million. I'm guessing off the top of my head, but I know I'm close. 165 million went to the school aid fund off the three commercial casinos. About 178 million. 100 above that, maybe 179 million went directly to the city of Detroit. So now the money garnered from this, on the commercial side, and there's two sides to this, right? There's the travel side, which we don't tax. They pay fees, and then there's the commercial side. So on the commercial side, out of the taxes that are generated, 30% of that tax is going to go directly to the city of Detroit. The rest is going to go into the school aid fund again. And so this revenue all goes back to either the city or the school aid fund for the most part. On the tribal side, most of it goes to tribal governments, and then they do share a portion of it with the local units of government around their casino. So revenue is going to be injected into the state by virtue of those mechanisms, and that all can be tracked on our website. And we report monthly to the department. We are part of the Department of Treasury, so that's all available to the public.
So with that, Rick, I will say I'm super cheap. When I go to Vegas, I want to ride the roller coaster that's in the one museum or the one casino, and do some of those other things. Do they have penny bets?
Well, then you'll continue to go to Vegas when you can, because that's the amenities that would attract you there, right?
Right.
And they do have bets and pennies and dimes that you can play. So and I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not a gambler myself, so I fit in well with this job, but I understand the process and how it works. And they have to be able to market and attract all levels, socioeconomic levels, in order to be successful. So yeah, they're going to have you'll probably get a notice that you spent this many cents and make sure you want to keep going, it'll flash in front of your app, but that's all available.
So I guess I won't be winning big on my penny bets anytime soon, but that's, we all play differently, that's for sure. Rick Kalm with us here on the MegaCast. Quickly before I let you go, we appreciate your time, but maybe anything I didn't touch on that you want to share?
No, I can tell you a couple of things. One, you can now also place horse racing bets online through multiple betting apps. Northfield Downs, their website has the apps that you can bet on, and we regulate that also. And we just did a quick check. We have the thing when you open up your computer or your mobile device, we have what's called geolocation. So we can monitor to make sure you're in the state of Michigan, right? So we just took a capture over the weekend of those geolocation hits. In other words, people that have opened their app, certified that they're in the state, and then did some activity on it, and we were amazed. It's 750,000 contacts over the weekend, roughly, and it's really on pace, very close to New Jersey and Pennsylvania, who have been operating online gaming for quite a while. So that amazed me. To put it in perspective, the activity online with people with mobile devices was equaling what we were seeing in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And to us, that was amazing. Now, how that generated in the revenue, how many accounts were open and people put money on account and gambled, we just don't have that data yet. We probably won't. I asked them for a 14-day report, which is the first time, and I'll be able to report back on that after that 14-day period. So we'll see what it is.
Rick Kalm, we so appreciate your time here with us today.
Well, no problem. Glad you guys asked, and hopefully we're educating the public. It's a safe way to gamble online.
I've learned a lot just from this conversation, so I appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you.